Hello and welcome. Ah yes, the 1930s in Siam, a decade of tea-spitting surprises, head-scratching politics and enough cultural whiplash to make even the most seasoned historian reach for the nearest bottle of Mekong whiskey. Imagine a nation delicately balancing on the tightrope of tradition and modernity, while a few cheeky fellows with revolutionary ideas shook the rope for good measure. Let me set the scene for you. The year is 1932. The absolute monarchy has been sitting comfortably on its throne for centuries, like a cat that refuses to move from its favourite cushion. However, this is no ordinary cushion. It was embroidered with golden dragons, ancient traditions and a royal court so dazzling that even the French with their Versailles felt a bit underdressed. King Rama VII, bless him, was the monarch at the time, a thoughtful man but not exactly what you would call a revolutionary firebrand. Now, Siam was not completely living in the dark ages, far from it. By the 1930s, modernisation was well underway. There were paved roads in Bangkok, cars rumbling past wooden shop houses, and the occasional expat wandering around looking utterly lost. The railway network was expanding, slicing through jungles and rice paddies, bringing the promise of commerce and a hint of cosmopolitan life to the provinces. Nevertheless, here is a kicker. Modernisation was not just about trains and shiny gadgets. It was about ideas. Dangerous things, ideas. Moreover, in Siam, they came wrapped in the form of democracy, or at least the kind of democracy that starts with a military coup over breakfast. The revolution nobody saw coming. In June 1932, while most Bangkokians were sipping their morning tea or tucking into a hearty bowl of yop, a popular Thai breakfast dish similar to rice or porridge or congee, a group of idealistic bureaucrats and military officers decided they had enough of absolute monarchy. They formed the People's Party and orchestrated a bloodless coup that would forever change Siam. Bloodless, mind you, though I am sure a few teacups were shattered in the palace when the king received that memo. To his credit, King Rama VII handled the situation with remarkable grace. He agreed to transition Siam into a constitutional monarchy, which is about as dramatic as a shift as asking an elephant to become a house cat. The new government promised equality, democracy and progress. However, while the promises were shiny, the execution was, well, let us just say the road to modern governance was paved with potholes. For starters, the People's Party could not agree on much beyond let's not have an absolute monarchy anymore. The elite jostled for power, bureaucrats shuffled papers, and ordinary folk, they went about their lives planting rice and occasionally scratching their heads about what all the fuss was. Everyday life in the 1930s. Speaking of rice, let us not forget the backbone of Siamese society. The 1930s were tough on farmers. The Great Depression was not just a Western problem. Its ripples reached Siam's shores, slashing rice prices and sending rural families into financial turmoil. Life in the countryside was a delicate dance with the elements, with farmers relying on monsoon rains, traditional techniques and a hefty dose of good luck. Meanwhile, in Bangkok, the city buzzed with activity. Street vendors called out their wares, grilled chicken, spicy papaya salad and sweets that could make a dentist wince. Temples remained the spiritual and social hubs, while cinema houses brought the magic of moving pictures to urban audiences. The clash of old and new was palatable. You could spot a monk riding in a rickshaw, passing a flapper-style socialite on her way to a jazz club. Furthermore, let us not forget the expats like me, the slightly bewildered Englishman trying to make sense of it all. We grumbled about the heat, the mosquitoes and the occasional bout of dysentery. but we secretly marveled at the resilience and grace of the Siamese people. Culture influx. Now, let us talk about culture. Siam in the 1930s was like a simmering pot of tom yum soup, spicy, tangy and constantly evolving. Western influences crept in through fashion, music and education. Schools began teaching English alongside traditional subjects, and Siam's elite adopted European-style suits that must have felt like wearing a sauna in the tropical heat. Nevertheless, the old ways were far from forgotten. Traditional Thai dance and music thrived, with performances at royal events and village festivals alike. Buddhism remained the moral compass of society, guiding everything from temple construction to everyday etiquette. Even in times of upheaval, the spiritual heart of Siam beat strong. The elephant in the room, nationalism. And here we come to the elephant in the room, quite literally. Given Siam's love for these magnificent creatures, nationalism was on the rise in the 1930s. The new government sought to forge a modern, unified identity, emphasising the kingdom's independence and cultural pride. They even changed the country's name from Siam to Thailand in 1939, a move that sparked endless debates among scholars and armchair historians alike. This nationalism was not just about pride, it was also about survival, with Western powers eyeing Southeast Asia and Japan flexing its imperial muscles. Thailand's leaders knew they needed to walk a fine line between modernisation and self-preservation. My grumpy Englishman's takeaway. Therefore, what do we make of Siam in the 1930s? It was a kingdom at a crossroads, where ancient traditions collided with a relentless march of modernity. It was a time of bold experiments, political intrigue, and everyday struggles. Proof that history is rarely as neat and tidy as we would like it to be. For me, the 1930s was a decade of contradictions. The Siamese people embraced change with remarkable adaptability, yet they held tight to the traditions that defined their identity. It is a lesson, perhaps, in finding balance, a quality that Thais seem to have mastered better than most. So, there you have it, folks, a little slice of history served with a side of sarcasm and a dollop of admiration. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, do me a favour, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts, unless you're one of those keyboard warriors who think they know Siamese history better than most. In that case, well, good luck to you. Now, if you will excuse me, I have a bowl of tom yum waiting and a 1930s era fan that does nothing to combat this infernal heat. Until next time, keep learning, keep laughing, and for heaven's sake, do not take history too seriously. Bye bye.